Welcome to Camo Office Hours Live. I'm your host, Eden from Camo, and I'm here to answer any questions you have about Camo or creating content. So that's any questions about how to do something in Camo, how Camo works with X software of your choice, and or if you want to talk about video creation, streaming, or podcasting, I'm also happy to take those questions as well. Aiden certainly didn't hire me because I didn't already have 5 years of content creation experience before joining the team. So with that said, thank you so much for coming to hang out, and let me know where you're joining from in the chat, as I know that we have a pretty international audience. And as questions are rolling in, I'll go ahead and demo how to get started with Camo and how I dial in my settings to get set up for a video project. I also have my iPad set up for demo and questions, so if you want to learn more about our streaming app on iPad, let me know in the chat. All right, so shouts to Yannick, hi from France. Thank you for joining us from France. So if you're brand new to Camo, you'll want to start at camoapp.com on your computer. And if you're on Windows, you can go straight to the Microsoft Store and search Camo Studio to download from there. And if you click download, you'll see our awesome little join our community pop-up where you will get updates on all of our live streams and events, as well as our awesome email newsletter. So after you download and run the installer, Camo will magically appear and you're one step closer to getting better audio. Sorry, I really appreciated my Camo will magically appear joke. So just appreciating that for myself. All right, I'm seeing some questions rolling in. So just so you guys know, I am monitoring the chat. Shouts to Perfume Panda from India. And the latest version of Camo is the one that you can get from our site or the Microsoft Store. Just download it at camoapp.com. All right, so this is what you'll see when you download Camo after it is magically installed. I always like to start by walking people through the main sort of setup settings, so that's what we're gonna do. This is probably the most important one. This is the drop-down menu where you'll see any devices that you have hooked up to your computer that you can use in Camo. So you can see that I'm currently using a USB 3.0 video. That's a camera that I have hooked up through a capture card. I have another connected camera, I have a built-in camera, and I have a couple of iPhones set up for demo purposes, but I will start with just setting up from a webcam. Shoutouts to Chris from Atlanta. Hope the weather is warmer than it is up here in New York right now. And all right, so this is setting up Camo for a webcam. So I was playing with some settings before, but I'm just gonna reset everything to auto. This is what the camera view will look like when you first select the camera. So there won't be any adjustments on, and it will be the full field of view of whatever your camera is. This varies from camera to camera. So I like to get the framing dialed in first for comparison reasons. This is about how I like to have my camera usually set up, where I'm in the middle and I have my scene set up on the two sides in the background. So let's get me centered. I'm not gonna be perfectly centered because of how I had to set up the cameras, which I will show you guys when I get to the iPhone part, because I do wanna show you guys how I have things set up. But first, I like to get the framing dialed in. That means your face should go in the center, and you can crop as closely or as not closely as you would like. So I like for my face to take up about like a third of the screen, and I like to have it in the top third of the screen as well. Because when you are running meetings, you want people to pay attention to you. If you're too small, which I have been called out before in the past, if I have zoomed all the way out, it's hard for people to know where to look at or where they should be focusing on. So you always want your face to be front and center. And for webcams, I always like to turn on a little bit of background blur. That's our depth of field effect, which gives it the bokeh effect. Comes fully equipped with a slider for intensity. I usually find that dialed all the way down is where it looks the best for me in my scene. I also happen to be in a very small apartment where everything is super close to me. Like my wall is pretty close to me. It's not super far behind me. So I really only need a little bit of bokeh blur depending on how far away your background is to you. You might want a little bit more or less. I would really just play around with the slider a little bit until you feel like it looks the best for your scene. I have a few questions rolling in that I want to go ahead and get to. So Yannick, yes, you can use 2 smartphones. I currently have 2 different phones set up in Camo. So Camo can only feed in 1 video from each of the smartphones at a time, but you can hook up more than 1 camera. For example, I have my 13 Pro Max hooked up to show the iPad right now, and I also have the iPhone 12 hooked up here to show just like the difference in sort of like color settings. So you switch between them from the device drop-down menu, and right now you can only select 1 smartphone camera at a time, but we have gotten a lot of requests for more than 1 video feed at a time, so we're definitely working on that. All right, I also see this question from Mauricio. When you're having the upgrade of Camo for iOS for being able to use apps on this iPad, specifically to play local videos as part of the live transmission. Okay, so Mauricio, your question is for Camo on iPad, which I will switch to here to show off. So when you select apps on this iPad as your video source, so if you have external video source, if you have apps on this iPad selected, it will show like here, sorry, let me switch to a different scene so you can get a better idea. There we go, apps on this iPad. So you'll see like this is where your iPad app screen will show. I'm not sure if that totally answered your question, but if you can clarify a little bit more about what you mean about playing videos as part of the live transmission, I can better answer that question. But yeah, I'll switch back to the face cam for now. So to do some color settings, because as you can see, the colors for this camera doesn't process quite the same as my camera that I'm using for in the little thumbnail. So this is where our image adjustments come in really handy, because this allows you to really dial in all of your image adjustments. I like to turn down the exposure a little bit because it feels like I'm overexposed for this camera when it's on auto. And I also like to tune the white balance a little bit. I feel like it by default has me super like cool. Like I look a lot more on the blue side of things. So good question, Gaurav. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I like to use the white balance setting for when I'm setting up my camera for the first time. And so Camo will remember the settings that you have chosen for each camera. So once you get it set in correctly the first time, it should look like that every single time, unless your external lighting drastically changes. So I do use the white balance a decent amount because I am like, my skin tone tends to be either too yellow or too washed out by default by a lot of cameras. So white balance helps me. I just try the slider like manually to see where I feel like it makes me look the most accurately what my normal skin tone looks like in natural light. So I would say a little bit warmer than auto, like right here. This is a lot closer to my natural skin tone than it was before. And you can also use tint and hue to sort of help balance out the colors a little bit, just depending on your camera and your external lighting. So for white balance, I'll also say that it's usually the only setting that I change if I am using my iPhone, for example. So right now the white balance is on auto, but I actually feel like it's making me look a little bit more yellow than I would like. So I usually do turn it down a little bit just to balance it out. I also do have warm lighting on right now, so sometimes it's like a balance between adjusting my lights physically and between like trying different settings in the software. But I have found, I did not mean to click that. Did not mean to accidentally turn myself into Shrek. But yeah, the slider is really gonna be your best friend, especially when I've noticed in coffee shops especially really like to use like really warm white lighting. I mean, warm like yellow lighting. And in those situations, I often like turn down the white balance to be a little bit more blue to balance it out. And your follow-up question is, are there presets we can create for white balance? Because the need for white balance changes throughout the day because of the natural light changing. Yeah, so we have presets currently in Camo Studio right here, where you can create a new preset. And so, for example, once you have it dialed in the morning, I actually have this giant window in my office also. It's currently blacked out because I got tired of constantly switching between profiles and color settings. But you are able to just create actually, I just realized I need to switch to desktop screen share to be able to see. Okay, so in presets, if you go to, so you first have your white balance settings for your current, like say AM lighting dialed in, and then you go to create a new preset, and I would label it like morning lighting and save. It'll save the current settings that you have set in Camo at this moment in time. And then once the light changes, you'd probably need one for like the middle of the day. I would just create a new preset profile to like afternoon, and then one maybe for later in the evening. Yeah, I definitely feel you on the amount of light coming in, sort of changing throughout the day, because that's what I run into also. And my solution ended up being to block out the window, but it's frustrating sometimes because it's nice to have natural sunlight. It's, good for our circadian rhythms and etc. So yeah, let me know if that preset sounds like a good suggestion to you. And we'd love for you to try it out and let us know what you think. All right. Yo, shouts to Anthony. Thanks for popping in to say hi. Also shout out to Sergey from the chat. And yeah, Yannick, for right now, we would just recommend switching between the devices in the drop-down menu. We know that a lot of people want more than one camera at a time, so that feature is hopefully coming at some point sooner than later, but can't make any promises on when. All right, let me go back to, actually, since I'm already on my phone camera, I'll walk through that process a little bit too. So Camo has the ability to support any camera that you can connect to your computer. Again, I have all these different types of devices you can hook up to your Camo to add any sort of camera effects or color adjustments, image adjustments to do here. But I really like to recommend people to try out Camo on their phone if they haven't already. So in addition to downloading Camo from camoapp.com, you'd also go to Camo on your Android or iPhone app store, so either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and search Camo for the phone, and it'll pull up the companion app for the iPhone. And I actually want to show you guys why it's like really convenient to use your iPhone sometimes. If I can do this without, if I can do this without knocking everything over. So with the phone, because you have the access to the different lenses on your phone, you can see in the little picture-in-picture in the top left corner, like I'm just holding my phone right now, which actually even works wirelessly, but I had it charging because I didn't want it to die before the stream. But this is a really cool way to be able to show people sort of behind the scenes shots. So this is my main camera that I have set up. This is the face cam I was using, and I had the iPhone hooked up to this desk clamp tripod thing right here. So using your phone is a really good way to go to show off like mobile shots in your room or something under your desk that's like sort of hard to show. The lenses are one of the coolest features about Camo on the phone, because you have access to all of the lenses available on your phone for most Androids and definitely for all iPhones. Yeah, I think we all have a love-hate relationship with natural light. Lucas says, so do I. I know. Lucas is our in-house writer and photographer, so he knows way more about lighting than I do. But yeah, so if you haven't tried Camo with your phone, I would definitely recommend it. Mostly for versatility of lenses and usages. It's way easier to sort of like mount a top-down shot for a unboxing video, or if you're a teacher and you have like a textbook or like a piece of art that you want to show on a desk. A phone is way easier to set up for a top-down shot than a DSLR camera. So when I switched to my DSLR camera, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys. So it looks really good. This is the DSLR. It's hooked up with, actually my lighting is a little bit over at the moment, but so I have it hooked up to a capture card that's then plugged into Camo, but I would not want to reset up my DSLR every time I want to do a top-down video. So that's what the iPhone is really really good for, iPhone or Android. Camo is cross-platform compatible, Mac, Windows, Android, iPhone, any combination of the above works. So the music playing in the backdrop is actually, I'm using a streaming software called Ecamm right now. So it's not part of Camo, although if we get enough requests for it, we might have to add it at some point. But yeah, so I'm using a software called Ecamm to do my picture-in-picture and my screen share, and to add in a little background music for the vibes, and that's also how I'm bringing in comments. Okay, we have another question from our friend Richard Bird. Can we talk about ways to reduce latency on a MacBook? What has positive or negative influence? Okay, so Richard, could you clarify for me if you mean, what do you mean by latency and where you're experiencing it? Do you mean like there's a latency when you're using Camo wirelessly or when it's wired, or you find that there's a little bit of delay when you bring it into Zoom? If you could clarify your question for me a little bit, I think I'll be able to hone in my answer to make it a little bit more relevant. But I will say that if you are running into performance issues, I always like to check the activity monitor. Sometimes, okay, a lot of the time, I'm very guilty of having like 50 Chrome tabs open, and sometimes even a Safari tab or 10 open. And actually, like, all of those websites draw memory from your computer, and sometimes when I feel like things are running like very slowly, whether that's in Camo or sometimes it just takes forever for a message I'm typing in Slack to pop up, it's usually because my computer is like having performance issues across the board, and it's not necessarily Camo specific. But if you have if you can specify what you mean about latency on a MacBook, and what you're running into, I can advise a little bit more specifically, I think. Tranquility Abound. Is there somewhere on Camo you can choose a custom server and access key? Is this for the Camo on iPad app? Let me see. Let me switch to the iPad. Here we go. Let me go back to my streaming scene. Let me switch this back to game capture. If your question is related to setting up custom streams, you can do that by adding streaming destinations and selecting custom, and that's where you can add an address and streaming key. That's only available on our Camo Studio for iPad app at the moment. I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know in the chat and I will try to do better. There we go. Okay, let me switch back to my regular camera. Let's see. Also, I'm so excited you guys noticed the background music. I listened to a lot of background tracks before settling on this one. So I'm glad you guys noticed. Okay. So Richard, you clarified that you mean using Camo as a source to zoom. So by latency, do you mean like when you see something happen in the Camo preview, you don't see it happen in Zoom until like a couple of seconds later? If you're using Camo wirelessly, there is sometimes a delay just depending on your wireless network. And I don't know enough about how wireless networks work, but I know that if you have too much stuff going on, there can be more issues, especially if you have like a lot of devices hooked up all to the same wireless router. But yeah, sometimes, yeah, for Wi-Fi, there's often a slight delay. But if you are noticing a major lag between what you see in the Camo preview and when you see it happen in Zoom, I would make sure that you're running the latest versions of both Camo and Zoom. We sometimes get reports of Camo not working correctly in Zoom, but often that's fixed with like checking to make sure the latest versions are running. If you have ongoing latency issues, I would say please write into our support team at support@reincubate.com, which I'm dropping into the chat right now. If you can send us some screenshots or like screen recordings of the issue, we'll be able to. Our support team is A1, and we'll be able to help get to the bottom of it. All right, and I think that is all the questions for now at the moment, but feel free to keep those rolling in. Okay, so it's not wireless. The video from Camo is delayed 1 second or more. Yeah, can you send us an email to support@reincubate.com, because it's supposed to be, there's definitely not supposed to be that much of a delay between when you see an action or you see yourself talk in Camo in the preview window versus when it shows up in Zoom. But yeah, if you write into us, our team can take a look at and see what might be going on there. Yeah, thanks for all the questions, y'all. If y'all have, just a reminder, if there's anyone popping in to join us now, feel free to ask any Camo related questions in the chat. That can be Camo on desktop or iPad, or I just realized I was on the wrong scene. But if you have any questions about Camo for Mac, Windows, or on the iPad, feel free to drop the questions in the chat. But yeah, let's go back to getting things set up for using Camo in a video project. All right, so if we go back to the face cam, I like to show like things with people using webcams, because webcams are still like highly in demand this day and age. So after you have your background blur turned on and dialed into the amount of blur that you want, I would also give spotlight feature a try. Here, there's the pop-up. So the spotlight feature increases the contrast between the speaker and the background. So if I'm turning, so this is way higher than you would ever actually need to use it, but I just want to turn it on high to sort of show you guys the difference with it on and off. So when it's on, it slightly darkens the background a little bit, while like sort of putting like a highlight. It looks like my face is being like marked with a highlighter, I feel. But I really like the effect of spotlight at about like 50% with just a little bit of background blur. It just makes you stand out on camera better than if you weren't using those two features. All right, let me see. Hi, I love Camo Studio for iPad. In-depth tutorial on how to broadcast from iPad to any broadcasting sites, plus the ability to see chat. All right, I hear you on this request. We definitely have some iPad content that we're planning for the channel, so I will definitely take this note down for a little walkthrough video. But in the meantime, I can answer the question here, just to do the sort of like a short version to answer your question, to give you like an idea of how things work, even if it's not super in depth. Hopefully this will answer some of the questions that you have. So right now, to any broadcasting sites, you would just hit the little streaming button. Actually, let me switch to my mouse so my hand is not in the way. Where is my mouse? There it is. Okay. All right, let me get a little bit closer to the iPad. There we go. So here is this little Twitch icon is where you can add streaming destinations. If you click the little drop down and the plus button, it'll open up more destinations for you. So any destinations that aren't currently YouTube, Twitch, or Trovo, you can do a custom one where you can just add the streaming address and the streaming key. You can also get to your streaming settings from the little gear icon. We just have things in different places. So you have your streaming destinations that you can manage here from this window as well. So yeah, right now, that is how you set up a stream. And as you can see on my iPad, I actually have more than one Twitch account that I'm streamed into, because I was doing so much testing that I made an account to test stream with. But yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Twitch, those are my handles. And then the next question in this comment was the ability to see the chat. Okay, so to be able to see the chat, you can set up a stream panel, which is here. Sorry, I have to make sure that I am signed in to the right one. There we go. So you can see the chat by setting up your stream panels. So our stream panels are really cool because they give you like a lot of really like useful, well, they're highly customizable, and they give you like a lot of useful insights for what's going on in your chat. Here's where you can add more. I have just these 4 chat activity, stream, and stream preview set up. Quick actions is also a really cool one in our stream panels. That's really useful. Stream preview, if you're streaming, you'll see the preview here. Stream health, that shows like your bit rate, and activity to see like your latest followers and activities will pop up here in the stream panels for you. So that's how you can monitor the chat while you're streaming yourself. But if you want to add the chat onto your scene for streaming, you would right now the way to do that is using a web overlay. We are besties with the guys over at Stream Elements. They have like a lot of really fun chat box overlays. Streamelements.com. That's how you would bring chat comments into your actual live stream for now. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions about the iPad app. Happy to talk iPad. I've been using the iPad app a lot for my solo game streaming, so that's been pretty fun. All right, Aiden Fitzpatrick. I don't know who let this guy in, but he asked any USB hub. I'm not sure. If you could clarify the question for me. If you're asking, am I using a USB hub? The answer is yes. I have about 5 cameras hooked up to my computer at the moment, and I would need a USB hub for that, indeed. All right, so back to our face cam. Let's see. Let me go back to showing off the... Here we go. So after you have your background bokeh turned on and a little bit of spotlight, I actually think I'm going to add a little bit of vibrance because I feel like I was still looking a little bit washed out. Sometimes a little bit of saturation can help. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. When it comes to image adjustments, subtlety is going to be your best friend. Like I know we have a huge range for these sliders, but you really only need to nudge them by a little bit at a time to get a noticeable effect. So I'm like, if you can see the numbers changing, they're changing by like very tiny amounts at a time, but you're like, as I turn up the contrast, like I can see like my hair is getting darker and darker. So I actually don't need that much. It just happened to be the feature I was talking about. But yeah, I feel like I have a little bit more color in my face now, and I would also recommend trying out some filters if you're not getting the look that you quite perfectly like with especially with webcams, just because each webcam kind of processes color very differently. So like, as you can see, I have not changed my color lightings, but you can see a pretty big difference with like the webcam versus using in the little pip in the corner right here, sorry. That the different cameras are processing color differently. So that's why we created Camo, is to give you guys more controls over your camera settings so you can get your colors a lot closer than they would be without. Oh, shouts to Noel Diaz. Thanks for joining us. How can you stream to social media? So you can stream to social media with the iPad app right now. You would have to do custom stream keys. We have Facebook, Instagram. We've gotten a lot of requests for Facebook integration and Instagram. So if you want to let us know which social media platform you are looking to stream to, that will really help us decide which integrations we should work on first. So also, as a little side note, we truly decide on our roadmap based on how many people request a feature. So if you have a feature you want to see in Camo, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are always around at support@reincubate.com. We are at reincubate across socials. We are Camo app on YouTube. Well, if you are watching us on YouTube, you know what our YouTube channel is. But yeah, you can comment on any of our videos, any of our social media. We check all of it and we log all of feature requests into a document, and we decide and rank them from there, often based on how many people have requested a certain feature. All right, so after you have your colors and your background adjustments dialed in a little bit, so my color isn't quite how I would like it. And to be honest, at a certain point, I would recommend looking at your physical lighting and what you are able to change based on your physical lighting, because I'm trying to calibrate one camera without making the other camera look totally washed out, and that's really difficult sometimes because different cameras just process light and exposure and colors in completely different ways. So if you're not loving your results from whatever camera you're using, I would really recommend looking at lighting options to see if you don't have any really good lighting. I would start with getting a key light. I will be perfectly honest with you guys. I'm trying to find my little mini key light. Okay. It's right here. I got it. I found it. I used one of these little key lights for my primary lighting for almost 2 years, and nobody noticed. These are small but mighty. So yeah, like if you're not loving the lighting you're getting, I would start by just getting one of these little key lights and to supplement your lighting a little bit, because Camo can do our best, but if your lighting situation is tragic, we can't help. We can only help so much. So okay, Perfume Panda, thanks for your question. Will the focus be as good after blurring the background with 2 or more people, or will they get blurred as well? So we've done a lot of testing with this. Camo is pretty good about finding faces. It's usually we'll find the face, and faces will be clearly segmented from the background, but it is likely to get confused if you have different people at like super varying depths, and if the lighting isn't great. Lighting can affect the background blur, especially when there's more than 2 people in the frame. But if you have everyone sort of at the same distance from the camera and with the same lighting, the background blur is pretty good about finding the faces. So I would just do a little bit of testing. If you know how many people you're thinking about, that I might be able to let you know up to how many people we've tested. I know we've gotten at least 3 people into a camera view at once with the segmentation, with the background blur working pretty solidly. That was under good lighting, and everyone was about the same distance from the camera lens. But it just depends on a lot of different factors sometimes. So let me know how many people you're thinking, but I know we've definitely gotten 3 people solidly in a camera frame with the segmentation, with the background blur looking pretty solid. Thank you for this feature request. Yeah, we definitely have multi live streaming destinations on our feature request sheet, and remote guests is definitely a feature that I've personally requested because I like to do game streams with one of my friends, and I currently can only do that by myself using the iPad app. So shouts to Young Mully. Thank you for the support. We love to hear it. Love to hear it. Yannick, I'm not sure what you meant by your question. If you could clarify your comment, I'm happy to come back to this. Yo, shouts to the homie James. Thank you so much for popping in. I hope I'm making you proud. All right, so Young Mully says, add a bottom in camera option that I can turn off the camera and use voice only from the phone. Okay, so yeah, actually we've gotten a couple of requests for this too. People just want to use the Camo as a mic instead of needing to have video also. So I'll add this as a +1 feature request for you. Let me make sure I save that one. Okay, yeah, so Perfume Panda, for 4 to 6 people, I would say give it a try, but just when you're trying to fit that many people into one camera frame, everyone's face will be probably more like this size, and we have not tested it for that many people, if I'm being honest. If anyone else on the team is in here and has 6 people that they can test it with, let me know. Lucas, I think you have about 6 people that you can find. Thanks for joining us, Yannick. We'll see you next time. And yeah, Young Melly, we hope the app keeps getting better and better too. So don't hold back with the feature requests, because feature requests and suggestions from our friends are how we decide on what to work on. All right, so I did want to go through overlays with you guys because this has been one of like our most popular features since launching. And I'm gonna pull up this overlay gallery. There we go. Get a still that actually looks more like me and how I would be using Camo. So Camo has an in-app overlay editor where all of these overlays, not watermarks. Sorry, I almost said watermarks because they used to be called watermarks and we started to call them overlays. But basically, you are able to edit these all within Camo Studio to make them your own. These have been super popular for Untitled too. For people that are on Zoom calls a lot of the time, because you're able to like add your information into Camo, all within Camo without needing to use Photoshop or Canva or another video editor. Let me see. Icon, logo. All right, that didn't work. Here we go. Icon only. There we go. Okay. Unlock the aspect ratio. There we go. Lock that back. So there's the Camo logo. You can put in your logo there or any other image that you want. You could even put your little profile picture in there. Type in the name, your title, customer success, and oops, there we go. And then edit your pronouns, your location, all of this from right here. And then when you go back into Camo, you'll see your newly created overlay that you can use for a Zoom call. We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from people that are on Zoom call, not just Zoom calls, Zoom team video conference calls, that say that adding just this little name tag thing really helps with their ability to stand out in a sea of zillions of other people on a Zoom call. Let me see. I'm gonna switch to my iPhone camera and also show you guys how I move things around, just to show you guys how different cameras look. The setup process is the same, but I just like to show you guys a little bit of a comparison. First thing is to get my camera, me centered in the camera view. So something that I didn't go over earlier, that's also a really neat feature, is our auto tracking, auto framing. So auto framing without zoom, it follows, the camera will follow you as you move around. With zoom, keeps the camera, it will zoom in and out and follow your face from left to right, depending on how big you want your face to be in the frame. So I have a really short in-ear monitoring cord, and I don't want to get too far from the mic, but you can see as I move further back and back, the camera is zooming closer into my face, and as I move forward, it's zooming back out to try to keep me at the same size. So that's like a really useful for presentations and teachers that want to be followed, want the camera to follow them around. I am a little bit more, I move around a lot, but I don't need to move around that much. So I try to keep the zoom set at just face tracking, but I do like to pace sometimes. So it is nice to be able to have the camera follow me as I go. Yes, Lucas, thanks. I knew you had, I was like, I know you got 4 people in the house. So yeah, plus 2 dogs. Let's see if it works. Can't wait to hear. The Brusco. Testing on animals. How could you? How could you? That sounder was for you. And alpaca and a dog. I think that's what that is. Anyway. All right, so using a different camera. This is, I'm just showing sort of like the difference of how different cameras look in Camo. Turning on the background blur a little bit and still popping on spotlight. So the iPhone camera that I'm using for this specific video demo is a little bit, okay, so iPhone cameras are a lot better at processing color and light than most webcams on the market. This is because Apple, Samsung, Google, they put a ton of R&D into all of us being able to have these amazing cameras in our pockets. So Camo really unlocks that power of the iPhone camera being looking so crispy. And I'm actually using the selfie camera right now. You'll get even better camera quality if you're using the wide angle shot, because that is the recommended one. Yeah, so I had white balance turned cool a little bit because it was a little warmer than I wanted to. I'm also going to take this as an opportunity to show off our LUTs, lookup tables. Camo comes with a big handful of LUTs that you can use, and I really like the filter gallery, lookup table gallery, filter gallery, because you can see what your camera scene will look like with each of the LUTs. So I'm just kind of slowly scrolling so you guys can see the different effects that using a LUT can help give you. I kind of like this one where it's like a little bit more saturated and contrasty. Maybe a little bit too much so, but that's also why we have the filter slider, so you can actually make it subtle or very strong. I've noticed from doing video that, like, with any sort of video adjustments that you're doing, whether that's with Camo or any other camera software processing, whether it's live or whether you're doing post-processing in Photoshop, little adjustments are really all you need to start with. Like, I really like making tiny adjustments at a time. I think that's sort of like the best way to find like the colors that look good for you. Okay, so we have a question from Sierra. She says, "You're doing an amazing job, thank you, and would like to know if Camo on iPad can be used to broadcast to OnlyFans or other adult sites." Someone has to ask. That's a totally fair question. I would have to do a little bit of research, but if either of those sites are able to, if you can get a custom stream key, then you should be able to broadcast from the iPad, because you would, let me switch to my iPad view. Let me see. This one. So under custom, if you are able to find in whatever site you're trying to stream to, like if they, usually somewhere in streaming settings, you'll be able to find a streaming address and a stream key. So that is how you would add one for any site that we don't have native integration for in iPad. And if you have further questions about that, feel free to write into us at support@reincubate.com. All right, where was I? The other iPhone camera. And let's set up let's set up this one. A slightly different vibe of a web, not a web overlay, just a regular overlay. Double click to get into the overlay editor, untitled 3 is going to be this one. That's definitely not a quiet protest at the fact that you must put in a title for your overlay name. For image, let me see if I can find a profile picture. Well, let me see if I have a, there we go. All right. I couldn't find a picture of me, but I did find a picture of Namjoon. So that's what I'm using for the profile picture right now. Here we go. Here we go. Just make it slightly bigger. Name. Eden. From Camo. And at reincubate. And then I want to actually size this down a little bit to make it fit the square better. Or I could make this square, this rectangle, sorry, not a square, smaller to fit the text better also. And once that one is set up, there's your web overlay. I mean, not your web overlay. Sorry, we've been working a lot with web overlays recently, so I keep saying web overlays, but this is just a regular overlay. But yeah, you can put in, it doesn't have to be a picture of Namjoon. It can be a logo. It can be a profile picture. I just kind of wanted to show off some of our different overlays and what people, and different ways people might want to use them. Yeah. So once again, that's the overlay gallery. The gallery is really nice because you can see sort of where, like, what things will be blocked off by these templates. And these templates are all editable. Once you double click to open it, it creates a copy in the overlay editor. So the template is always there if you want to go back to it. But yeah, that's our overlay editor and overlay gallery. Like I said, really popular feature, especially for people that are doing a lot of presentations, video conferencing, and even people that do sort of like the talking head videos that don't want to deal with adding graphics in post. You can have the graphics already in your video if you want to use Camo for that. All right, let me see. Got another question. So Young Bully asks about rewards or for pro users besides 4K and other filters. That let us know what other options you have in mind, because we're open to suggestions. Yeah, we have some ideas for that floating around that we've been kicking around, but if you have any ideas about what extra options that pro users have, then let us know. Let us know. All right. Okay, so, whoops. Accidentally clicked on the wrong window there. So that is most of the features in our desktop app. If anyone has any more questions about Camo on desktop, feel free to let me know. And I'm going to actually switch to the iPad to show off some stuff there, because the iPad app is a lot of fun, actually. So, all right, let me switch here. And if you guys don't have iPad questions, then you guys can just watch me play Overcooked for the last however long you guys want to hang out for. Has anyone here played Overcooked? It's really fun. Oh, I'm not used to using the mouse. I'm sorry, but I'm back. So our latest iPad update has way cooler features for, not way cooler, but way more features for building a scene. We added this brand new layers tab that is actually really similar to our desktop overlay editor, where you can edit each of these elements. And so earlier we had questions about bringing in the chat on the chat into the iPad. So if you have a chat web overlay, that's where you would add it. Like you would just go to this, hit this little plus button here, and then hit web overlay, and that's where you can enter in your web layers. So these two right here are our web overlays. I'll just actually, let's take these off and I'll just show you guys how those kind of work. So if we go to Safari, cancel. So these are the links that I'm bringing into Camo Studio on iPad. So this is what it looks like. This is the link that you will get from Stream Elements. They have a overlay builder. So this is the link that you would get from them or any other web overlay provider. And you would just copy that link and then go here, hit add web overlay. Oh my God, I just realized I was copy pasting using keyboard shortcuts on my Mac, which is not what I'm using right now. This is the iPad, and I was wondering why the paste wasn't working, but that was why. So there we go. And once you submit the web overlay, it'll show up in the stream, in the scene, and then from here you can resize it and place it anywhere in your scene that you want, like maybe a little bit bigger. I think that's about where I had it. And this is also in the layers tab is where you can change the layer order. So this overlay covers up the text a little bit. If you want the text to be on top, just drag to reorder. It's super intuitive and super easy to use. You'll see different settings show up for each element on the iPad. So for text, we have different font, alignment, text color. This is where you can pick your fonts. I love that in this font picker that you see the preview of the fonts, because I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely just spent hours scrolling through to look for a font before. Okay, Richard, thanks for this question. Does the Camo Studio app window, is it best if it's left open or it can be closed after configuration? So you can close it out after you have things set up. The camera you'll still see it show up in Zoom, in any other video conferencing or video software that you're using. You don't need to have the window up. Like, I like to have the window up because I like to see what I look like, because if I don't have a camera to show what I look like, how would I ever know? But I know a lot of people that just have the camera window, like they have their settings dialed in and they never look at it ever again. So it's really up to you. There shouldn't be any performance differences between whether it is open or closed. So I think that's a personal preference thing, but it should not function differently with the window open or closed. If it is functioning differently for you, please let us know. support@raincubate.com. So Noel, Camo can stream to YouTube and Facebook. So on the iPad app, we have native integration for YouTube. You can stream straight to YouTube. If you want to stream to Facebook right now, you would have to do it through a custom stream key, and that's to get your streaming address and your stream key from Facebook. That's usually in like the streaming studio area. I'm not super familiar with streaming directly in Facebook myself, but we can help you out with that. Our support team can help do some homework. If you're not sure, we're happy to take a look and help guide you in the right direction. It's most streaming platforms in their streaming studio portal, you'll be able to find the stream key and the stream address. It's in different places depending on what you're using though. So yeah, we've gotten a lot of requests for people that want to stream directly to Facebook, so that's definitely on our list for sure. But yeah, right now we have YouTube, Twitch, Trovo that are native integrations. So yeah, it's good to know what people are looking for. So Facebook is definitely on the list. All right, guys and gals. We'll keep going as long as the questions are rolling in. So Don't hold back. Don't hold back. So Mauricio, for Facebook, you would have to use the custom stream option. That, yeah, you would have to get the streaming address and the stream key from Facebook to enter into Camo, and Camo will run it as a custom stream, but it will still go to Facebook. So back to our not overlay editor, scene editor. This is where you can add borders and change the opacity or settings to any specific element. Borders were probably like the most highly requested feature after we launched the iPad app. So we added it finally. Where's my favorite pink color? Where is pink? Oh no, that's not what I meant to do. Pink is here. There we go. Bright pink for my border. And for primary source border, let's do something a little more subtle, a little purple. Second favorite color, pink Brusco, or what color? What color are we talking about? Could you clarify? Could you clarify your favorite color for me?
Splash.
Here, let's add a new shape. We currently have circles and rectangles for available shapes, triangles and other polygons coming soon. If you open up your shape settings, this is where you can set up little camera frames in addition to the video border. So if I wanted to add a little, do some rounding of the corners, and then if I send this, oh no, I can't put it behind the video source. Yes, I can. No, I can't. All right, well, I'm gonna write into the support team about that, but yeah, I wanted to put a shape behind the video frame so it could be a double border, but it looks like the primary and secondary video sources are locked as the bottom layer. Hate to see it, but I'll be writing in to the dev team to ask for that feature. The workaround would be to create little, very tiny rectangles to create another frame, but that's a lot of work. So maybe not. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Oh yeah, I had my other web overlay that I was adding. So I really like these follower widgets that they have available. This is like your goals. So they also have like followers, subscribers, or like tip widgets that are really cute and easy to integrate into a scene. I like the web overlay elements that, oh, I just did the same thing where I did Control-C, but that was on my MacBook instead of my iPad. There we go, submit. Smaller, there we go. There it is. Yeah, this has been my solo streaming scene that I really like. So maybe I'll do some streaming on this later. But if you guys are playing any good games, let me know in the chat. I was heavy on Dave the Diver over the holidays, but I finished it as of now. Oh, okay, Mauricio, thank you for clarifying your question. Okay. Also, Brusco's comment. Why is it still here? There we go. There we go. Okay, so the use of stream panels when you're streaming to Facebook. So the stream panels, as currently constructed, are designed to work with Twitch. So the stream panels currently are our Twitch stream panels. They would not work for Facebook streaming. We don't have a way to bring in chat to, not a native way in the iPad app to show the chat in stream panels right now, but that's definitely something that we're looking for. So the iPad app we just launched last fall. We're really looking for as much constructive feedback as possible for how we should prioritize our future features. So that's good to know that Facebook seems to be a really popular one that people are asking about, and how we would want to definitely add some useful tools such as stream panels for the streaming services that are not just Twitch. I hope that made sense. So the answer is not right now. It's not, stream panels aren't applicable to Facebook right now, but we hear you on the request, and we'll hopefully find a way to add something that can help meaningfully in that direction. So Nelson, thank you for your question. Will widget overlay elements become available on the desktop app like they are in the iPad app? The answer is yes. We definitely want to bring a lot of the features that we launched in our iPad app to the desktop app that we don't already have. Widget and web overlays are becoming increasingly popular by the day. So it's on our roadmap. We're not quite sure when we'll be able to release it yet, but that's definitely on the to-do list. So yeah, keep an eye out from updates from us, because we may have some stuff cooking in that direction on the desktop app as well. All right, let's see. Set up another scene for fun. Let's see. For this one, do a little gaming picture-in-picture. So this is one of our default scenes this is just our dreamy scene that we have as that is preloaded in our Camo Studio for iPad app, which is also customizable. If you go here, you can change the size of this. Why I'm changing it to a weird shape that I would never use. There we go. Oh, the iPad also has face tracking features, which is super useful, especially when you're auto tracking, when your picture-in-picture is super tiny. There we go. Okay, Mauricio, thank you for clarifying your question. I want to play a video from my photo library as a part of live transmission. Is it possible? So, kind of is the answer right now, which is probably not the answer you were looking for. So, right now, we don't have video playback as a feature available in the iPad app yet, but you are able to use a video for your background. So if let's see, if we just set up a brand new scene, untitled 1, submit. Okay, here's untitled 1. So for the background, you can go in here and to select something from your photo library to use as a background. So this is any file that your iPad supports, you can add in as a background. Let me find one that is a little more backgroundy and not just a bunch of screenshots of the app. Let's see. Okay, this one. So for this, let me I'm just gonna move this out of the way for now. So this is just a video file that I pulled from my photo library on the iPad. It doesn't have playback controls, like I can't press play or pause. It just plays on a loop in the background right now. So this is what I meant by, yes, it's possible, but we don't have playback features for playing, pausing, or like tracking to a specific place in the video yet. So that's also on our roadmap for sure, is to get video playback in there. So the short answer is yes, kind of. The long answer is yes and no. I don't know how helpful that was. If you need me to further clarify, please let me know. We'll just make a scene from this little cute background. No, that corner is still. Double clicking an element takes it to full screen, by the way, which is not what I was trying to do, but I accidentally double clicked, and that's why it went to full screen. There we go. Secondary source. So this is what I mean by the auto face tracking feature, especially for Camo on iPad, comes in handy, is because my picture-in-picture window is so small. If I turn it off, it is almost guaranteed that I'm gonna move out of frame at some point, unless I'm standing perfectly still, which is just not. Things don't usually happen that way. So turning on auto framing will keep you in the frame. And also, one of our nice little background features is the remove feature, which it thinks I'm on the dreamy scene. So that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, but it's removed my background from me. There. If I zoom out, you can tell a little bit more. Yeah, let me tighten that framing up. There we go. Yeah. So auto framing is your friend when doing a picture-in-picture effect, especially if your picture-in-picture, if the picture in your picture-in-picture is very small. It'll really keep your face in the camera framing. So, all right. How are we feeling? Do we have any more questions about anything? Happy to hang out a little bit longer if we have more questions rolling in. Last call for questions. Brusco, if you're still there, I have another sounder for you. And if Brusco's not still there, then hopefully someone else recognized that sound effect. But if not, I'm so glad all of you guys came to hang out with me today, and I really appreciate all of the questions. This office hours is something that we want to do a little bit more regularly. I think it gives us really good insight into what feature requests you guys have. So I'm hoping to do these at least once a month on YouTube. So come hang out. It'll probably be me walking through a lot of getting cameras set up and ready for video projects, but mostly that's just something for me to do in the background while questions are rolling in. All of the questions were really good. I had to think about a couple, and it's just given us a lot to know how we should continue to shape the product. All right, I got one more. Mauricio, thank you for all the questions. Is there one way to check the network statistics when we go live? Okay, so not yet right now. So right now, especially if you're using Twitch, we do have the stream health that you can monitor, but that is only for Twitch. We have gotten other requests for other ways to monitor the statistics because we are aware not everyone is always smoking. I mean, streaming, not smoking. Sorry, streaming on Twitch. I don't even know where that came from. But yeah, that's a really good request. We've gotten a lot of we've gotten a few people point that out that it would be really good to have a way to check sort of like what the health of your internet is. So thank you for that feature request. I'll definitely feed that one back to the team and make sure it's on our feature request document. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Young Mully. I'm glad you came to hang out. You had some really good questions and suggestions. Shouts to Lucas, who I've learned everything that I know about professional cameras from. And shouts to Brusco. Hakeem Nick's laugh. That was for you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. This was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to hang out again. Let us know if this was productive for you or if you are looking for a different sort of office hours experience. Yeah, let us know, because we want to make sure that you guys like the events that we're doing. So I'm happy to hang out. I'm happy to do game streams. I'm happy to talk about other softwares, AI workflows, hardware, whatever. But yeah, just let us know what you guys think, because we are here. I am here to create content that you guys want to see. So yeah, thank you guys. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm kind of sad to end the stream, but I'm seeing a lot of thank yous. Oh, thank you. Oh, we're so glad you love it. Keep the feature requests and questions coming, because we really do find it extremely valuable to know what people are looking for. All right, Lucas, you got a heart. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next time.